Are we on?
There we go. Good.
That's
Turn
better.
it on.
You good? All right.
Oh my God. I see. I know mine is on.
Feast of famine.
How about if I just talk really loud?
Come through here and change all these. Okay, turn them down.
All right.
Is that better?
I don't know. I'll ask John. Can you hear me now? All right. Look, I just have a couple things. And
I think Greg is saying no. Greg, can you hear? Yes. Oh, okay.
Very good. All right. Try again. I've just got a couple things, and the obvious thing, of course, is to make a couple comments on the storm that we obviously all went through last week. And I know that our community is now involved heavily in the cleanup, lots and lots of debris. Over the weekend, I did, I think, by a letter to our staff, and also by another letter to the KICA board, I did want to thank everybody, all of our staffs, the town staff and the community association staff, for what I think is just an amazing amount of work that they did. And while I've done that separately by letter, I wanted to publicly in this meeting make that comment. I don't know how many people were here during the storm. Hopefully, since we asked them to leave, there weren't a lot, but I was here. And I do think that if anybody did not see what this island looked like on Thursday afternoon, they never really will have an appreciation for how much work the community association staff and the town staff did in getting this island cleaned up and ready to have residents be able to come back on Saturday. The amount of debris, I think a lot of us, my benchmark was Matthew a couple of years ago, which was a very heavy, windy storm like this with lots of debris, lots of trees. My sense right now is that this damage, are we still getting this?
Yeah.
I'm trying to step back. My sense initially is that the amount of debris we have from this storm is probably bigger than Matthew, but we'll know that once all the debris pickup is done. But if you'd seen what the island looked like on Thursday after the storm, or even on Friday, it's amazing how much has been picked up. So I do want to make sure that I publicly acknowledge both the town staff, Stephanie, you and your team, the amount of work that you did helping residents prepare for the storm, the communications that you and Stephanie Braswell provided during the event, the KICA crews, the resort. One thing I have said in the past is that we really can't operate as a community unless the town, the community association, the resort, and the other entities on this island work together really closely. Not any of us have the resources on our own to deal with a storm like this, and it's only through really working together really closely that we're able to do it. And I am getting tired of doing this every October or September, but again, I think they all did a fabulous job. The other thing, we do have the yard debris cleanup underway. The town has put out the schedule for that. For those of you that are not aware, 2 years ago with Hurricane Matthew, the town made the decision at that time that we would go ahead and handle the pickup of individual property owners' yard debris. We're following the same approach this time. We've decided to do the same thing. On Friday, we held the town council did a vote by email, which we're allowed to do in an emergency situation, to authorize the town to make the expenditure to handle the pickup and disposal of all of the yard debris on the island. So that process is underway. And Stephanie, in your comments later, if you can just summarize real quickly the schedule and how that works. The last thing I just wanted to note for the record, and otherwise we aren't going to talk about short-term rentals, but that item was obviously taken off this agenda and will be on the October agenda. And I just want to make clear, there are really two reasons why we took that agenda item off of this council meeting's agenda. I think obviously the first reason was because we scheduled this meeting very, very quickly, with only a little bit more than a day's notice, and I think all of us agreed that it would have been totally inappropriate to hold a discussion of the town council and potentially have a first vote on a first reading of an ordinance with so little notice to our residents that we were actually scheduling the meeting. So I think we agreed it was just not the appropriate thing to do, that it made more sense to defer that until October. And the second reason is because the fact is we are listening to the many comments that we are getting, whether it be phone calls, emails, or any other forums. I think all of the council members are listening, paying attention. And I think one of the opportunities we have by holding this off until the next month is it will give the staff the opportunity in a few more weeks to consider and think about some of the feedback and some of the information that we've got. It'll put us in a better position to maybe respond to some of the questions that we're getting, needs for clarification, and so on. So again, I think the reasons for holding that off were one, it just would not have been appropriate to schedule it with so little notice today. And two, I think we'll make good use and put ourselves in a better position for a discussion of that at the next meeting. With that, citizens' comments. If anybody has any comments for the council that are related to items that are specifically on the agenda today, go on up, and I don't see anybody jumping for the podium. All right, then I'll move to presentation. We have a presentation on 2020 Census Review. John Taylor is going to overview this. For the council members, since we had taken some things off this agenda, I wanted to go ahead and take the opportunity to have John give this overview. I think most people know that next year is a census year. That activity has started already. John is our point person in the town with respect to the census coming up. And believe it or not, there is a lot of work involved. You know, we want to make sure that we have a good count in the town. And there's a lot of activity in making sure that the government knows what buildings, what residences are on the island. So I wanted John to be able to start giving both the council and our residents an idea of what's coming and how this process is going to work. So, John.
So this is actually going to be an abbreviated presentation that was prepared through the LUCA program, which is essentially orchestrated by the Census Bureau to tag local municipalities and jurisdictions to ensure that they participate within the census count and our approach to the next decennial, which will be 2020. And so to begin, I'll just review just a few things that you may be familiar with, and so I'll move pretty quickly through those things which I believe you may be familiar with, and then at the end I'll also give just some projections and data that were provided and sort of give us a glimpse of what we could maybe expect in the next year or so. Just a reminder that the purpose of the census is to really just get an understanding of our population and housing data, and that information is used to apportionment for census, for redistricting, voting rights, planning decisions at all levels. And so those are the main reasons of why we use the census. Even at the local level, we utilize census data to update our comprehensive plan and things of that nature. And so we get an understanding specifically, whether it's at the town level, the county, or the state level, to understand what trends are happening regarding population and housing. Just in regards to where we are today, South Carolina gained a seat in 2010. Based on the 2010, we have 7. And so this map was produced here to show what would be projected in the upcoming census. This is not officially produced by the census, but projection. You can look at this map and show that South Carolina we would essentially council and other elected officials and persons who are connected to the census program to motivate family members, neighbors, residences to essentially make sure that they're counted in that actual number. And that number is tallied up, and those results will be released next year by the end of the year. And so who can participate? Like I said, those are our incorporated places, our states and the counties. I went through sort of the timeline already. Won't bore you with some of the geocoding data, but essentially what geocode means is that it's taking a specific address and giving it an actual latitude and longitude coordinate. And so each particular house, each address, each person would have, not each person, but each address would have specific, essentially dot located on a map that would identify them to be counted. Housing units, so single family, whether it's a townhome, an apartment, separate living quarter, all of these are considered fair game as far as counting. And these also include mobile homes and trailers, things that may not be the standard of what people think identifies as a single family home, but all of these different things are also counted within that number. The only thing that's not counted would be things that are in construction, so we are able to count things that are in construction, but up until if they were to be habitable on the census day. So, for example, we know we have plans for a senior center that has been coming in through the permitting process. We know that by census 2020 that they won't be necessarily ready by that date, so that particular development would not be counted in the 2020 census. So they would fall to the next 10-year track. Group quarters, living quarters, similar to that example that I just gave, correctional facilities, group home, juvenile detention centers, nursing homes, all of those are counted. Even college campuses, hospitals, all of those things fall into what could be counted towards the census. So it's not just looking at single family neighborhood residential, but anywhere where we can find and identify where people live.
John, if I can ask, so the April 1 date for determining all of the properties that exist, is that something then that you're providing, or how is the town determining, for particularly because we have so much construction going on?
So essentially, there is a process of where this phase, so we've already sent in our sort of base data, which would include everything up to that certain date. And beyond that, any new construction which comes towards the latter end of sort of this LUCA program is what is counted towards the end. So we're actually kind of in that process now of counting new construction. And that was a little bit adjusted based on the timeline. There's been an array of events that have sort of delayed the timeline. Beginning of the year was sort of the government shutdown, and so there's some different things that sort of set that timeline aware. But essentially, there's a specific program that comes in and calculates anything under new construction. So that's kind of where we are now. So we'll probably get everything new construction up until the end of October or so. But beyond then, it'll be hard to make sure that they get those numbers. Even transitory locations, so RV camps, recreational areas, mobile homes on boats. And so this kind of goes to a little bit to your question, Mayor, and sort of what we utilize to kind of pull together all of these sources to count data. And so we use E911 files, records from different property information from the local jurisdiction and planning and zoning, school enrollment records, any files, all of those are sort of put together and sort of cross-referenced to get an idea of what accurate data could be presented. Are there any thoughts on any questions of any of the information? Is now I'm just going to go into some projections of South Carolina and the state. There were no questions sort of on the census program itself.
Do you see, what's the biggest issue you see of getting an accurate count of residents on Kiowa?
On Kiowa, and it would probably be those who are not here full time, and so it may be a second home. They are counted, but we'll get
you don't anticipate any big issues here?
No, I thought maybe the senior center was gonna be one of those thresholds when we first started getting words of that because of the timeline of where that phased. But where we are now, I think we'll get a pretty good count.
But I guess I'm curious, because the census now is pretty much a mail, I mean, you get the document that you fill out in the mail. The days of when they go door to door are pretty much gone, right?
Yeah, so the day of going door to door would only be in the case of they're verifying that something is sort of incorrect in the data, so that you rarely see someone driving house to house, across the whole country, but really just to kind of verify if they notice something's an inconsistency in what's been already provided through some data sets.
So I guess what I don't understand is how we, for so many of our properties, because of all the non-permanent residents we have, so many of our properties are owned by LLCs or, you know, there's some entity, but it's got an agent in the town, because we don't levy a property tax, we don't have information on so many properties. I mean, we can verify all the addresses, but how do they end up figuring out who actually is the owner? Will we be doing that, or is that happening somewhere
Our
else?
base records are county driven, so most of all of the data that the town would use would have been filtered through the county.
So they're sending it to whatever the county tax system shows as the contact for that particular property. Okay. All right.
This information was actually, provided in, a session earlier that the state of South Carolina, Revenue and Fiscal Affairs Office produced in a training session. And so they provided just some numbers to kind of gauge where the state and local sort of county areas as far as population estimates would be. And so this is a change in population from 2010 to 2018. We show South Carolina sits about 10th on that list. Of course, the larger states, Texas, Florida, California, lead the charts there. And regarding county, Charleston sits third in the state, behind Greenville and Richland County at a little under 350,000 there as of 2018. Those projections, it's a change though, put Charleston as third, which we see most trends of the growth in counties happening sort of in the Grand Strand area, Myrtle Beach, and then in the upstate Greenville counties. Charleston is to follow, and then sort of the suburbs, if you will, of Charlotte and York County, after that. And so that map sort of reflects those changes that you see, sort of the low country growth. Berkeley is actually the lead of the low country, the tri-county there at 24% from 2010 to 2018. And then this sits at the top there, Horry County at 27.8%. The other trend you can notice here, a decrease in population, which is more so in the really rural areas like Allendale and Vandenberg, down in between. And so that's kind of just a trend of where the state is, and I wanted to just provide that kind of number to you. I also pulled the projection that Keywell would have about 1762, which is just a projection, 1,700 residents. And so that's really the end of what I've had to prepare for you today.
So John, when the first time residents will need to do anything will be what, then in April, May, when the actual count starts, is that?
So if the resident isn't notified via mail, then it's sort of on the good side because they would have typically been already an account number provided by data that's already been submitted. And this process has started way back in 2018 actually, in gathering official records. So I would just, as far as encouraging residents, if you do receive something in the mail, you fill it out or respond accordingly. You won't be double counted if you do submit it if you think you've already been counted. And so that's would be sort of my recommendation there.
Because, you know, I think we really would like to try to get a good count. You know, the last data we have for Kiowa is 2010, and in this, there's been so much building on the island, so much, you know, just in that period of time, percentage-wise, the numbers aren't great, and it would be nice, I think, you know, John and I've talked to, it would be nice to try to get as good an accurate count as we can get on Kiowa this year, because we make a lot of estimates, but when people ask me how many residents, you know, about all I can do is say, well, you know, here's how many registered voters we have. We really don't have a good idea. So I think, you know, we're gonna try to put a lot of effort into the communication and see if we can get a good count this year. Any questions for John?
I just find it surprising that there's a decline in population in so many areas of South Carolina, giving all the people that are moving here.
Yeah, and I have some other maps that kind of show migration data that'll show where people are sort of coming from, whether it's county, they break down a couple of them where it shows county to county level, but also sort of where we have migration from the state elsewhere. But pretty much this is a big trend that a lot of residents or people are moving to the more metropolitan
To the
areas.
Charleston
So
County area.
Charleston, Richland, Lexington, and then Greenville County. They go and retire in Horry County, yes.
All right, any other questions? All right, thanks, John. All right, consent agenda. We can take all of these as a single vote, but before I do, we always have the opportunity, if there's any council member who has a particular item on the consent agenda that would like to have it pulled off for specific discussion. If there is none, then I'll go ahead and take the all right, then I'll take the consent agenda as a whole. There are 5 items on the agenda. 2 of them are second readings of ordinances that we approved at our last meeting. One was an ordinance to regulate drones and model aircrafts, and of course the primary focus there is drones, not model aircrafts. And also an ordinance to amend the comprehensive plan. Those were both approved last month on first reading. And then we have 3 approvals, contract approvals, which were discussed and recommended for approval at Ways and Means. So do I have a motion to approve all of the items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have 2 new business items. The first is to consider approval to amend the Night Heron Park Company franchise agreement. Stephanie, can you give a quick overview of that? And Liz, I don't know if you're gonna
Do you have
make
the
any
bike here?
comments, or just if we have
You
some
want to ride the
questions.
bike here? No, just kidding.
Yeah.
You want to ride in front of
I
us?
already asked her.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
All right. For mayor and council, we have a request from Kiowa Island Golf Resort to amend our current Night Heron franchise agreement that we've had with them for a number of years. And the current one that we have right now in existence goes through 2021 with very little change over the years. One of the things in the development agreements, we have an exhibit, and in that exhibit, it spells out what beach equipment is allowed on the beach or in the beach. And one of the things that the resort would like to look into is they would like to look into having a 3-wheel bike starting in spring of 2020. They want to start off with about 6 of these bikes that they will have available to rent to be exclusively used on the beach. And at the end of the day, they were going to store them in the Sanctuary Bike Pavilion overnight. This agreement, we've had a great working relationship with the resort, and this is just a minor change to what's already required in their current exhibit. Let me see here, just to kind of go over just a few things, just for the public to understand what, when we refer to some of the additional things that they can do on the beach. Right now, they can do the umbrellas, of course, and the cabanas. They can do chairs and lounges, backrest, floats, board surf, kayaks, and we would like to add bicycles. So it's not a lot, but things that make sense in terms of use on the beach for their guests. Liz, would you like to add anything with regards to they have a copy of what the bikes look like. I know you guys are going to be doing your green. We have a copy of it in red, but I told them that it will be done in green. But if you'd like to add anything, please do.
I think that the major reason for doing this is to address
So to open it for discussion, I'll go ahead and make a motion to amend the Night Heron Park Company franchise agreement, and specifically amend Exhibit B, which would add bicycles to the list of products that could be leased on the beach. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, open it for discussion. Any
I-
comments or questions?
I have a question. Is this, these aren't motorized, are they?
Absolutely not.
So it's just pedal? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and second item, new business, is to consider approval of appointments to the Public Safety Committee. Mary Ann, you are the chair of the Public Safety
Yes.
Committee. Go ahead and
I have two candidates that I'd like to submit for approval, and we had two openings on the Public Safety Committee. The first one, everyone is pretty familiar with, and that is Tony Elder, who is the Kika Safety and Security Person. He has extensive law enforcement background and leadership in that area. We welcome him to the Public Safety Board to contribute to our efforts. And the second person is Bonnie McDonald. She's a resident of Kiowa. She has a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice from Northeastern. She has a Master's in Public and Community Service. And she also served for about 30 years as an officer with the Massachusetts State Prisons and parole organizations. In addition to that, she's been a participant in many committees for the Public Safety Organization of Massachusetts, including some treatment centers for drugs and alcohol abuse.
So Mary Ann, since you're the chair of the Public Safety Committee, if you want to make a motion to approve.
I move that these two candidates, Tony Elder and Bonnie McDonald, be approved for the Public Safety Committee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any additional questions, comments, discussion?
You couldn't find anyone qualified?
Thank you. I'm very pleased. We have a really strong Public Safety Committee.
For the record, that was a joke, right? Yeah, I just want to make sure.
I got some laughs.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, town administrators report, Stephanie.
Yes, I'd just like to give an update on the debris removal process, but I'd like for Brian, as he has been managing this process, just to give a very quick overview. To the
You just
podium.
want him standing up there so if somebody didn't get their trash picked up, they can move the call.
They know to throw their trash at.
Thank you for this opportunity. Just a quick update for those that may have not heard yet. We made an initial push for this debris removal process, and we were very ambitious to try to get to these zone debris removals. What we found out very quickly was that there was a lot more debris on the island than we had originally anticipated, and like the mayor said, there was more debris on the island than we recall from Matthew. So what we're doing right now, with the amount of traffic and the residents that are on the island right now, we are making a push first and foremost to open up the main roads and make sure that those are cleared from debris. There's a lot of debris still hanging out in the roads, and we want to make sure that in the interest of safety, we get that removed as quickly as possible. So right now, we're working on cleaning up the parkway and then also Governor's Drive before we come back and start doing our zone debris removal. And the zones, they're posted on the website, but basically we're moving from the front of the island to the back of the island. And we will, once we have a definite date when we'll be able to start doing those zones, we'll push that out. And also a timeline for each zone, which we're anticipating maybe 2 days per zone at this point to make those removals.
So you think we're going to have to push back the date? Because didn't we put dates out?
Monday, yesterday, we did a little bit of Zone 1, but we're thinking, we met this morning with our contractor, and so we probably won't start the zones maybe till Wednesday or Thursday, so maybe a day or two push back.
So are we getting that communication?
We're working on that now, we're just waiting to confirm what time. Stephanie.
We just sent out a blanket message that said we're updating the revised schedule and it'll go out.
Just because of the amount of stuff? Yeah.
The initial
okay.
communication said also that this was subject to change
Change.
as the clearing unfolds.
And I think, governors, you think will be done then in the day or two? Because the governor's the one I'm most worried about. Just because everything's kind of out in the street and people are from opposite directions gravitating to the middle lane
As
and
of,
somebody's gonna get hit.
As of today and this afternoon, All Green, who's our primary lead on the debris removal, was working with Kika, who is providing traffic controls so that they can make a safe and clean and hopefully quick push up and down Governors. So they are working on Governors as of this morning and this afternoon, and I'll be getting an update from All Green this afternoon on how far they've come along.
Any,
Any questions for
Questions?
Brian?
the one question I do have, and I know in our original communication, we said that we were primarily picking up the, you know, the basic yard waste, but any large trees and other such things that needed to be picked up were not part of this. They needed to have their arbor care, whoever, take that away. Are we still on that basis, and are we stressing that? Because there are so many trees down, and I think, Dan and I were talking that there's a lot of these giant trees that are getting kind of put in with everything else, and I don't think All Seasons is,
All Green.
or All Green is able to handle all of those big trees, so. We just need to be clear in our communications, if there's stuff that they can't take, that we're really clear to people.
We have asked that specific question, and he has said that there's nothing that he won't be able to pick up. He has two grapple trucks that are able to pick up logs of trees that are cut, 10 feet, 16 feet long, that he can, and he has been able to haul off a lot
So
of that
far?
so far.
Wow, there's some.
It
there's
would
some-
be probably hard, Craig, to differentiate.
yeah,
Because in the
there's-
same piles, you've got some big logs and
Yeah, there are some,
debris.
there's some 15, 20-foot root balls out there too, so as long as we
Oh,
are
wow.
clear of what they can take, okay,
Good.
all right. Anything
Okay.
else?
How many,
No, go
how
ahead.
many units do they have? I mean,
All Green themselves, they have two grapple trucks, which are the big trucks that are able to remove the big logs and root balls. And they've also got, I believe they have 4, kind of front end loader trucks that are picking up some of the smaller to medium sized piles. And then they've got a handful of crew with smaller, handheld equipment, blowers, rakes, that kind of thing to do the final cleanup.
All right,
Thank you.
10 zones,
I'm sorry.
10 zones in all?
There are 4 zones. Yes, sir.
Stephanie, anything else?
No, the only thing I would like to add is just as a reminder, I believe it's actually went into place yesterday, our plastic ordinance? Sunday. Okay. The 8th. Oh, I'm thinking today is the 10th.
It is.
So it's in place.
Yeah, it's in place. Yeah. So just as a reminder to everyone, our plastic ordinance is in place. I know with the storm and everything, it just kind of creeped up on us, but we have the beach and island.
Great.
All right, council member updates, I'll start, Mary Ann, anything?
The most important thing was getting the appointment of the 2 new members of public safety. Most people have probably read that the fire company got emergency vehicles that enhance their ability to respond to resident needs. And it's really a big step in helping provide more than just first aid to residents. So hopefully those will be in place very soon. Other than that, I have no news.
Dan?
BZA's been active. The Board of Zoning Appeals, typically sort of one appeal each month, it seems to be. They're able to handle that stuff, pretty reasonable requests. Planning Commission's been relatively busy. Arts Council has a meeting this week. Couple of items that they've got to deal with as they try to migrate more to relying less on volunteers and more professional support for the bigger productions, because we're just doing a lot of arts business this day. And so we've got to make that transition, but they're all very busy. Everybody is, there was no time off in the summer, it appeared, so.
I think we have an event this Sunday, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is
There
one
is
this
one.
Sunday.
Yeah.
I lost a week. Or so.
Chris? Nothing? All right, with that, I'll open it to citizens' comments. If anybody has something, come on up, introduce, and give us your address. Charlie?
Charlie the Puma, 201 Horn Reed Court. I wanted to commend the town for how well they dealt with the hurricane.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments? All right. With that, we have nothing scheduled as an executive session. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? We are adjourned.
3 minutes beyond Seabrook's right.
Uh-oh,
If you'd let me know that, I could have
we
done
could
that.
have,
Thanks, everybody.
Good to see you. Have a good one.
thank you, I will, yeah.
Glad you're finally back.
Boy, I tell you, I'm happy to be home.
Hotels are not fun.
No.
All right, we'll see you. Thank you. Okay.